YouTube, how's it going? This is going to be my strange but sensible 2021 NFL mock draft. It's going to be some twists and some turns. There's going to be some head scratchers, things that are not really received in the media in terms of kids going which area that might start getting happen, and certain things that would actually improve certain NFL rosters to a certain extent. There will be trades in this mock. And please let me know your favorite team below. Let me know if you like that player at your pick. Let me know if you agree or disagree or think that that player would improve your team considerably at that pick. Um, and without further ado, let's go. I think Trevor Lawrence has his position set in stone to Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke over there. Um, Shad Khan's getting a little bit more involved. Um, it's a sensible, it's a good pick. There are some question marks that the media and the mass fan base don't really look as this flawless, perfect prospect, which I don't. I didn't really like the Virginia tape that much. Virginia Tech tape. I didn't like the LSU championship tape and the OSU tape this past year. But Trevor Lawrence, 6'6", 220, has all the measurables you need. Really good decision maker, can read a defense very well. Cannon of an arm, his good arm strength. They threw a lot of screens at Clemson this year, so we really didn't get to see the post corners and a lot of variants of different routes. But he has all the tools you need and are looking for in a franchise quarterback. Um, but he still needs to be groomed and developed to maybe reach the heights of his predecessor Watson and to get to Mahomes' level. I don't think it's as clear cut as people seeing it like he's Peyton Manning. Not even close. But he is talented. He's been consistent. Had a brilliant freshman year. His body of work is steady and solid, and I think he'll do wonders in Jacksonville with the right support. Very, very vital if they get that other first round pick and those second round picks to support the kid so he can thrive. Second overall, I have the New York Jets. Now, I do consider them trading this pick to Houston for the Deshaun Watson trade if that happens. So in my next mock, or if I hear anything new, any new news about Houston acquiring maybe 2 and 23, then I would slot Zach Wilson to the Houston Texans. But until the trade is actually formalized by Joe Douglas and Nick Casario, I'll have the Jets at number two. A trade down makes sense. They weren't really a good football team, uh, losing 13, 12, 13 straight games. Um, it's a team that could trade down, get some more picks, strengthen and improve that way. But I have them taking Zach Wilson at two. Uh, he had a tremendous turnaround from last season. I think he threw like 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, had shoulder injuries, and wasn't able to get healthy. But this year is, and I think he would, if if the pick is not traded to Houston in a Deshaun Watson trade, I could see Zach Wilson being a solid quarterback for the New York Jets. A quarterback they really haven't had in a while. Maybe a quarterback that'll actually be groomed in the Shanahan way, somewhat. Um, things I don't like. I didn't like the Coastal Carolina tape. Um, kind of struggled in that game. Well, since there's going to be no combine, it'll be to see how he does at his pro day. Eager to see how that works, but I think Zach Wilson would be a terrific pick for the New York Jets. He would be able to finally be a franchise quarterback that Joe Douglas can have on his own. With the third pick, this is the Miami Dolphins slot via Houston. This is where our first big trade comes in. I see them trading this pick to the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts at third overall trading with the Dolphins. Uh, some people may like this, some people may hate it, but I have them trading Darius Leonard, a first, a third, and minimal assets. Miami gets a superstar linebacker who's elite, who can contribute right away, and the floor is small to defense. And hopefully they can maybe trade back, get their lineman, and still get Bateman, kind of thing, whilst adding a superstar linebacker and other assets. Makes a ton of sense for both sides. The Indianapolis Colts can go ahead and get their franchise quarterback, going from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, and you have bridge guys. So that quarterback standard for the Indianapolis Colts, that horseshoe, can be met, taking Justin Fields here at three. Um, I really like Justin Fields. A lot of people are down on him because of the one read Northwestern Indiana stuff. I love his sophomore tape. threw 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I'm guessing in the mass media that is somehow totally forgotten or irrelevant. How, I don't know. His Clemson performance didn't really matter too much in the eyes of most media or scouts or fans per se. I don't know why either. But yeah, I mean, he has an elongated delivery, which I don't like. But I root for the kid. He has great traits, leadership, mobility, intangibles, similar to Herbert last year, who was doubted and proved a lot of people wrong, McShay and others per se. So I think he'll follow along that mold. He has a really good arm. Can make all the throws. He is accurate, but I'm sure Frank Reich, former quarterback, will do wonders in his development, helping him with all, seeing the field, processing that kind of thing. Um, his junior year was a little rough compared to his sophomore season, but uh, he's still is a pretty solid quarterback. I think he'll really be able to reach a lot of new heights that a lot of fans or media is not seeing him to reach whatsoever. So, but Justin Fields, I could see him being a franchise quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts for a very long time. And I think Frank Reich, Chris Ballard would knock it out of the park, home run, if they had him as their quarterback um, for the Indianapolis Colts at 3. 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys trading with the Atlanta Falcons here. Um, they really do need to address their secondary, address piece of D line. But I have them taking Panay Sewell here in a trade up. The Tyron Smith situation, me being a Trojan fan, is kind of disappointing and sad with injuries and inconsistency in terms of getting on the football field. Um, but you get the best tackle to come out in a while. You get a solid offensive lineman who can play that position, so the standard of quality doesn't drop. Having an elite left tackle, and then you can definitely address corner, third, fourth round, and address other areas in your secondary and D line. It's a deep safety class as well, so you should be able to get Adarius Washington and other safeties, maybe Richie Grant, who's flying under the radar later, still addressing your corner and D line position for the Dallas Cowboys. Panay Sewell is a monster, really massive, and he's a fast mover. He has a great kick step. He's very solid in his pass pro, very solid in the run game, and he would just continue that tradition of reestablish that tradition of that elite Dallas Cowboys offensive line. And for Atlanta, it makes a ton of sense. They can trade back, get more assets, hopefully address their defense. Maybe I'm not a fan of the Falcons taking a quarterback. That's kind of the model and the mold of how the media and fans perceive it, as they need a quarterback. Matt Ryan's on huge money. The cap is down, I think, 20 million. And Tampa Bay and the Saints went from the division to the Super Bowl, and they're in your division. So you got to stop Tampa Bay from dropping 40 on you at least, instead of being able to have the luxury of taking a backup quarterback who won't do anything for you this year. The 2022 class is loaded. You have Spencer Rattler, JT Daniels, Bo Nix, Keaton Slovis. There are a lot of kids who the Falcons can get in 2022 when Matt Ryan is a potential out. Or if you want to wait for DJ to come out, maybe do it that way. Get DJ Ulalele, who's probably going to be better than Trevor Lawrence, or Stroud from Ohio State. Do it that way. I wouldn't rush the Green Bay Packers model because the Falcons are not really a playoff and have the luxury of doing what Green Bay did with Jordan Love, where you can draft a backup quarterback and still win 13 games. I don't see the this, to be honest. In terms of drafting a quarterback, I think they need to trade down, get more assets, and see if they can fix a little bit of that decent defense. Maybe add a little, get running back for sure, and maybe address one or two weapons for Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan is the problem for the Atlanta Falcons at quarterback. But for Dallas, it makes a ton of sense. You trade up, you get Penei Sewell, and then you address your defense throughout the draft, and maybe get some offensive line depth here or there. 5 overall. Uh, it's a toss up for the Bengals. I think the Joe Burrow pick from last year is going to maybe somewhat hint at having Jamar Chase join them rather than Devonta Smith, which is where I'm leaning. They do need tackle and corner help desperately. So I still have the Cincinnati Bengals getting Jamar Chase, who's what I call Randy Moss's adopted son. He's an absolute freak, jump ball, speed, everything you name it. His sophomore tape was absolutely phenomenal. The year they won the national championship, um, brilliant. It was a lot of NFL corners he gave a really, 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 really tough time, and he'll do wonders for Cincinnati to go in that cast. I don't know if AJ Green's gonna resign or come back. John Ross, iffy injuries. I don't know if he's gonna come back, if he's a free agent, how they're gonna do there. They do need tackle help desperately as well, right tackle, left tackle, and then the corner situation is not that appealing as well. So it's a weak cornerback class for the 2021 free agency class. So they're just gonna have to get Jamar Chase trade down, or trade down when they get in the second round and see if they can address corner and tackle and try and not be the bottom feeding team of the AFC North. Six, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Carson Wentz situation is kind of desperate. I don't know if they want to trade the guy. He's on huge money. Do you stick with Hurts? But either way, wide receiver, corner, linebacker, these are all things that they can use. I haven't taken Devontae Smith here at 6. Um, just an absolute freak show. I'm not really concerned about his weight and frame too much, mainly because of Deshaun Jackson and other kids who are other guys who are around that weight and that size who do fine. I'm not too concerned about it. The kid can play. He had over 20 touchdowns, Heisman winner, quick, fast, fluid, smart route runner, instinctive, and whenever you need him to come up most in big plays, he comes up in big plays, makes big plays. Double team, no double team, doesn't really matter. He'll do wonders for the Philadelphia Eagles, and fly Eagles fly. 7, I have another trade. This is the Detroit Lions trading this pick to the New York Football Giants, who are going to take Micah Parsons, probably be one of the star linebackers they've had in a long, long time. Russo was tempting. Also, maybe getting after like a Jalen Waddle would be interesting. Get Danny Dimes some weapons before the jury's out on him. But you can't pass up on an opportunity to trade minimal compensation and get Micah Parsons. Um, Now his tape, he had a decent D line at Penn State. He was allowed to flow sideline to sideline and do his thing. Um, I'm not too particularly fond of having him at middle linebacker. I think he's an outside guy, Sam or Will kind of thing, and letting him just be instinctive and letting him flow and play run game that well. I don't know how he is at in terms of covering guys at an elite level. And I don't know if some teams, if the Giants want to move him to middle linebacker. I wouldn't advise it, but the kid can play. He's a generational talent. The tackling concerns in terms of technique can be improved in terms of him being somewhat of a grabber in tackling, but the New York Giants would really, really reap the rewards of getting Micah Parsons here at 7, a trade with the Detroit Lions. Number 8, the Panthers. This is a tough one. They have a lot of decisions, a lot of ways they could go. I have them checking Trey Lance. Matt Rule will be able to develop him, mold him in that type of way. Joe Brady's still there. Um, he had a brilliant 42 touchdown, 0 interception season, and that's pretty much what you're going to go off. The Central Arkansas showcase game was kind of a joke in terms of how it was set up and how all that went. He didn't play particularly too well in that game. But he has measurables, he has intangibles. He's quick, athletic. He could use some more refined work in terms of throwing the football in different areas, deep ball, corner routes, go routes, all that kind of thing. But I think he could be molded to being a franchise quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Would do wonders in that division there. Number 9, Denver. I just have him staying put and getting Patrick Surtain, best corner in the class. Uh, they have Callahan there. They have Ojemudia, who they got. But, I mean, with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert lighting it up in that division, you can never have really too many corners. I would address maybe getting tackle, getting some edge kind of help as well. Maybe even getting another tight end with Albert O or Infant. I mean, it's very nice for them to try and address their defense. You know, Vic Fangio is a defensive guy. If Sertan's there at 9, he's probably doing cartwheels and backflips if he can at his age. He'd be elated and excited with Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain comes from great NFL pedigree. He's long, tall, quick, athletic. He's sound technically in terms of playing the cornerback position. I'm not too worried about his speed or deep speed. He can cover and run with the best of them. Olave is a pretty fast guy, and he stuck to him pretty well. So I don't really have any speed concerns with Patrick Surtain. His pro day is going to be vital in terms of alleviating some of those questions. But I think he can develop into a true shutdown, lockdown corner. So you'll have Ojemudia, Callahan, and then you add Patrick Surtain, and maybe Herbert and Mahomes won't go off as much as they normally would without him there. 10 overall, I have the Atlanta Falcons get in this spot, and I have them getting Caleb Farley. The Virginia Tech corner was also tall, long, and can really run. Was their best player on defense at Virginia Tech. I think he was an opt out as well. Great special teams kid as well who can play special teams. Caleb Farley. Uh, Very something that Atlanta needs desperately. The Tampa Bay game dropping over 40 points. They're in a horrible division. It's just something they need to deal with in terms of addressing that secondary, addressing that D line, especially getting edge, even linebacker help, all three levels. They're kind of somewhat okay at safety, but I have the Atlanta Falcons getting Caleb Farlow here, and I think that would really improve them considerably. Considerably. Uh, the key thing that will help with Caleb Farley joining is that they can somewhat try and line up and match up. If Curtis Samuel re-signed with the Panthers, you have Samuel, you have Robbie Anderson, you have DJ Moore. That's a three. Tampa, if Godwin resigns, you have Chris Godwin, you have Mike Evans, you have Antonio Brown. That's a three. And instead of worrying about quarterback, you need to worry about how you're going to line up and match up against these monsters in your division. And I haven't even talked about the Saints yet. So leave the foolishness of the quarterback position alone till next year, where you can Matt Ryan as a potential out. The cap is declined, I think, by 20 million or so, and don't force no team is going to trade up for Matt Ryan and pay that huge salary like that. The Niners aren't, the Colts aren't, and the Saints aren't either. So that leaves you with very limited options in terms of trying to deal Matt Ryan. And any quarterback that you try to pick at four is going to be too talented to sit for a year. So uh, I don't really buy the nonsense of the Falcons taking a quarterback at four. I think trading down, getting an extra second from Denver, other picks would be solid and make a lot of sense. You can strengthen the team. You can maybe get Ojolari and maybe even another Najee Harris, for example, to go with Farley, and that's a lot more interesting for the Atlanta Falcons at 10. So at number 11, Detroit in the trade back. I have them getting Jalen Waddle here. With Matthew Stafford on the trade block, um, I do see them getting an extra pick, whether it's from the Niners, whether it's from another NFL team, Saints, who knows, maybe some other team who would be really, really desperate for a quarterback. So I do see them in the future having two first-round picks. But as of now, as long as Matthew Stafford is on the roster, I'll have Jalen Waddle going at 11 in the trade back. And their new GM, Brad Holmes, he's looking to add assets and trying to get after Aaron Rodgers twice a year, um, especially in that division. Gotta gotta address edge, gotta address D line, gotta get some more corners, even though they drafted one last year early. And then our divisional rival drafted their corner second round, Jalen Johnson, and outplayed the corner they drafted at three. Not very good, but uh, getting Waddle's explosive 4-2 guy, can separate elite special teams. It'll be a key contributor to the Detroit Lions in helping them somewhat trying to score more points, deal with the issues they have in terms of free agent wide receivers leaving, and be able to score touchdowns in Detroit. So it'd be a great addition. The injuries don't really worry me too much in terms of taking a hit or injuries or nagging injuries. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he'll lose his speed or anything like that. So I have Jalen Waddle going to the Lions, and I think that would help them and improve them. I would recommend or do think that they will address more defense going on in the later rounds, which they need to, because you can never have really enough good defensive players in that division. So, okay, number 12, I have another trade up. I have the Chicago Bears trading up with the San Francisco 49ers. So I have them taking Mac Jones here. Uh, Niners go back to 20, get some additional assets. Bears trade up for their quarterback. Since the 2017 disaster and debacle about Ryan Pace selecting Trubisky's car, not really offering Deshaun Watson never ever being in the building for a visit, all that type of thing. And now you fast forward maybe 4 or 5 years later, and you're in the same position, same boat, looking for a quarterback. So this time, hopefully they get it right. I think they could use tackle interior, but Mac Jones, he's kind of underrated. I don't. He's 41-4 is outstanding. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the SEC, the most difficult conference in football. I don't really buy the excuse of he had everything around him. So did Tua, and he was just loved and praised and adulated, and people excuses were made for him. I'm sure Tua will do fine, but you can't say that Tua had everything for him. He had 4 first-round receivers. Mac Jones only had 2 this year, so you can't really use the argument if he had everything around him. So 41-4 is irrelevant. He doesn't have the biggest arm strength in the world. Doesn't really have a cannon for an arm, but he's smart, good leadership, accurate. His footwork is pretty good, and I think he'll be an excellent quarterback for the Chicago Bears. They can get Allen Robinson resigned and deal with those issues. And Pace's contract is, I think, going to come up, so he really has to get this draft right, or he won't, or should not be there next year and pay for that Trubisky debacle. To this day, still haunts Bears fans, missing out on Mahomes and Watson. Uh, 13 with the Chargers. This is probably one of the more controversial picks. I have them taking Kyle Pitts. I know Rashawn Slater's on the board. They could really use tackle and interior as well. But the Hunter Henry situation, I'm not really sure how that's about. I think they could use more playmakers, more weapons for Justin Herbert, make his life easier. Do whatever you can to help him and make sure that he gets more weapons around him, guys that can separate playmakers, and maybe keep Mahomes and other quarterbacks on the sidelines when they're doing their thing. Pitts is tall. He's like receiver like. Not the greatest blocker in the world, but he had actually good tape. He did pretty well against Sertan as well. He was a much quicker, young, smaller corner, and so the fact that he can beat cornerbacks of that level will really help the Chargers in terms of getting a really nice playmaker there, living up to that Antonio Gates standard in Los Angeles. And Herbie fully loaded will definitely be smiling with that draft pick. 14. This is where I have the Jets and Vikings trading. Um, Vikings could trade down. I mean, they were kind of Wyatt Davis all the way, Elijah Vera Tucker all the way. Get that interior. It's a little too early for that. Edge, Quiddy Pay, maybe. Yeah. So Vikings trade down, get extra picks. They already have a lot of, I think, third or fourth round picks, one of the two. I think they have a lot of fourth round picks. Trade down, get even more assets. Also find a way to get after Aaron Rodgers and make his life a little uncomfortable, rather than the Packers running and dominating the division for so long. Maybe now revamp, reload, trade down, get more assets, and find a way to take down Aaron Rodgers so you can bring at least playoff victories and a Super Bowl hope to the fans of Minnesota. So I have the Jets trading up here. This is going to be a Robert Saleh pick. I know they could get Bateman. I know they really need offense. They really need interior. They could use a wide receiver desperately and urgently, running undersized, quick guy who can move inside every now and then. So I think Gregory Rousseau would be a great pick. You address edge early. That way, early can round, you can go ahead, get your interior, trade back, get your tackle, or get your running back. Najee Harris is there, Etienne's there, do that kind of thing. But I have him getting Russo here. Russo will kind of help on the edge. Quentin Williams, Franklin Myers, all there. Really revamp that D line that Robert Saleh used to, that he had in San Francisco, that he's kind of enjoyed since he's been there in 2017. So now he gets to establish his type of excellent D line as well in the city of New York, Big Apple. Um, Next pick at 15. This is another trade up. I have the Titans trading up here, getting Quiddy Pay. They could use some edge help. Uh, New England with Pitts off the board, Mac Jones gone. I see them. I think it makes perfect sense to trade back. I don't think forcing Bateman at 15 would be the most ideal situation. Trade back, maybe get your tight end, interior D line, and address more weapons and playmakers later in the draft. Maybe give Cam another year, see what you can do in 2022 with the Slovis, a Daniels, a Bo Nix, or something like that. If you want to get a quarterback later on, Jamie Newman, third, fourth round, you can do so. But Quiddy Pay, good tape. He's kind of a heavier defensive end. I don't know if he's a three technique type. If that thing, I think he's a very very big, solid, smart football player who can get after the quarterback, and I think he'll do wonders in Tennessee with that organization. Uh, Tennessee trading up. They also need to address more of their defense. Kind of last year, they were really known for having an elite defense, and this year their defenses kind of went through the rails. So not in a good way. So they can get Quiddy Pay here, prove their defense, get some more pass rush. That'll be ideal. 16, Arizona Cardinals. Kind of surprised that they're actually picking at 16 with the Hopkins trade. From the Houston Texans still getting a first round pick, which is a joke for the best wideout in the NFL, picking eighth last year. Kyler Murray, pretty good. Don't really know why they're picking at 16. I feel like they should be a lot better than they are. Um, but they have holes as well. Patrick Peterson, I think, is going to enter free agency. They desperately need corners. I would like them to trade down in this pick, but I'm just staying put and taking J.C. Horn due to a lot of teams who need corners in that area. San Francisco and that trade back and a lot of things. So I'm staying put, getting Horn. Horn is a taller corner, 6'1", 6'2" in that range. He can really run. I don't really see how he matches up against maybe really quick, fast slot guys. But for your bigger receivers, I think he'll be outstanding. Uh, he's had put pretty good tape out so far. It's good instincts, good ball skills, and definitely help dealing with Tyler Lockett and Metcalf, Megatron Jr., and stuff like that. So Arizona, I'm staying put, taking J.C. Horn, 16 Cardinals. 17, this is the Raiders. I just have them penciled with Jeremiah Owusu Karamoa. Yes, they have some linebackers who can play, but I think addressing defense has got to be the way to go. Derek Carr is fine. He drafted a lot of receivers last year. Um, Josh Jacobs, running back, is pretty solid. For Raiders, besides getting maybe interior, maybe getting some offensive line depth in certain areas, defense needs to be the way to go. They weren't very good defensively last year, and the Mahomes, Herbie fully loaded kind of thing is still an issue, being in that horrendous division, trying to make the playoffs in that situation. But Karamoa is very athletic. He had good tape, flows the ball really well. He played pretty well in the Clemson game that first time, even though they gave up a lot of points. He had good tape in that one as well. Uh, he's, you know, there's some questions about him probably being a safety, maybe being strong, maybe moving around a little bit, hybrid type guy. But it's for the linebackers coach and the defensive coordinator to really figure out which place to utilize him best. So at 18, this is the Miami Dolphins' first pick, their original pick. Yes. And then I have them taking Rashawn Slater, who actually managed to fall this far, surprisingly. Slater has been slated as top 5. He's known for his positional versatility. And yes, he did dismantle Chase Young in their matchup previously. One of the few tackles who can say that he did. So that'll be huge. Having Austin Jackson, Rashawn Slater can kick Robert Hunt inside the guard, and that is phenomenal. If you're Tua, he's doing backflips and cartwheels as well, just as Chris Greer would. Getting Rashawn Slater here at 18, just like they did getting a tackle the previous year. Uh, if you did want to kick him inside, you could. I would leave him at tackle, left or right. It doesn't really matter. Um, he's athletic. He's a big guy as well. His feet are really nice. He has a good, very fast, quick slide. His hand usage is on point. And Rashawn Slater to the Dolphins would really help them try and go to that next level of AFC Championship kind of contention. They can get Tua with improved play and more weapons, kind of thing. 19, I have the Washington football team. I think they'll give Alex Smith another year. And Taylor Heineke has been playing when he did played pretty well. So I don't think they're rushing the quarterback position here too well. Haskins is gone. Uh, so I haven't taken a tackle, Christian Darrisaw, Virginia Tech. This is also one of the bigger tackles as well, who can really move and has good technique. Uh, Protecting that quarterback, dealing with Chase Young, dealing with the other edge in the division, dealing with the other D linemen in the division, will really help Washington. Maybe they can address interior later, get corner, get tight end, do that kind of thing, address safety later on. But I think Alex Smith is the guy. You give him another year, and you see how the 22-23 class in terms of quarterback stacks up. It's good, especially the 2023 class is going to be pretty solid for sure. The 2022 class, Rattler, Nix, who's probably on and off, Slovis, Daniels. You have a lot of those guys who are going to be available. So if you want to look into the 2022 quarterback class for a quarterback, see how Alex Smith and if you resign or if Heineke plays, see how that works out. Address that later, but definitely address tackle, address wide receiver, address more, get more playmakers in the Washington football team. At 20, 49ers, uh, this might be a little biased, but I am a Trojan man. Fight on. I do have him taking Elijah Vera Tucker here. They could use some serious interior help. Creed Humphrey, I don't know why he's sliding down boards. A center would have been nice, but I think he's a plug and play guy day one at guard. Can play left or right. Strong, smart, instinctive football player who can help the 49ers address their interior. I see the 49ers maybe trading for Matthew Stafford, offering 12. So maybe when I do another couple of mocks, they won't even have this pick. But with Jimmy G there, how they're currently constructed, I have them addressing the interior offensive line, improving in that way. And then hopefully getting a corner in terms of Asante Samuel Jr., maybe getting a Greg Newsom from Northwestern, who's slowly rising up boards, getting him in the second round. And then with your additional picks, maybe even going double corner. Hopefully, Verrett gets re signed, that kind of thing. So I see them just addressing interior, addressing corner, improving the team kind of way, doing it that way. And if they also don't trade for Stafford, maybe Slovis can join his teammate next year, be a quarterback for Kyle Shanahan. They have a lot of options they can go through. Um, at 20 there. For 21, this is the Miami Dolphins. I think this fits perfectly. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, Minnesota. Uh, he had to deal with a lot of quarterback issues in terms of lack of arm strength. The balls are not always thrown properly, so he's used to poor quarterback play. Just not like a Tanner Morgan diss or anything. But Bateman is 6'2", fast, uh, quick, can catch the ball, good hands. And like I did mention earlier, he is used to dealing with quarterbacks in terms of mechanically and not throwing the ball properly and that kind of thing. So he's a guy who can adjust, who can grow, who can improve, and maybe rise to what Devontae Parker should have been or will be. You get Slater, you get Bateman, you get Darius Leonard, you get more second round picks, you get more assets, and now it's AFC Championship or bust. And it's just Tua, no excuses. You got to perform at a high level. You have everything you need to be successful. O line's attached, Bateman's there. You second round, if you want to go Rondell Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. After you get maybe not a Najee Harris second round, and then there are no excuses. It'll just be AFC Championship or bust for the Miami Dolphins at 21. 22, I have the Pats uh, getting Pat Freiermuth here. Now, I know his injury probably knocked him down to second round, early to mid. I still think he's a first round talent. So I have the Patriots getting him there and then maybe addressing interior or wide receiver later. It's Alan McNeil. They could get Dixon. They could get a lot of kids later on. Maybe even Marlon Tupuopu. Sorry if I pronounce his name. So there are a lot of kids they can address later on in terms of interior defensive line. But getting at Farmouth, he has good size. He does remind me of, you know, good tight ends, Kelsey, Kittle. I think he has that type of potential where he can reach, but it's just up to the New England Patriots to mold that potential and that talent. And it'll do wonders for Cam Newton if he stays for another year. Um, with Mac Jones and all that being gone, I think it just makes sense to trade down, get your tight end, address maybe a Amon Ross St. Brown, get a Rondell Moore type of thing, second round, get more weapons, get more explosive, get fast, join Jacoby Meyer. Now you have weapons that Cam or any quarterback can throw to and improve the New England Patriots. Um, 23 Vikings, brilliant trade down. You get Wyatt Davis here. The injury doesn't really worry me or that kind of thing. It's been solid and consistent all year. Great tape, strong, a really good, smart guard who would plug and play right into Minnesota day one. And so for Minnesota, he comes in, helps in that interior, can even be a leader and improve that offensive line. You got Ezra Cleveland the previous year before that, around that time. And you can work on this offensive line, make Kirk Cousins' life a little bit easier. I am also in the mold that I don't think the Vikings need a quarterback. I think you like that is doing just fine. Um, Maybe address it in 22, 23. I don't know how long this extension is for, but it's definitely something they could address later on. But taking care of that interior and maybe tackle later on would be something that'll help him as well. So Wyatt Davis, I see him as a plug and play day one starting guard for the Minnesota Vikings. day one. 24 Steelers. I mean, I haven't taken a tackle, Samuel Cosme, 6'7" tackle out of Texas. Uh, Now he has great instincts, a great intangible. His kick slide is okay. It's not the best, um, but I see him grooming and developing this kid into a monster. DeCastro, you get leaders like that around this kid. I think he'll flourish, blossom, develop into a real star if he's molded and groomed. Excuse me. If he's molded and groomed to be an elite offensive lineman, which he's capable of doing. Um, Obviously has to deal better against like really smaller, quicker speed guys, the 240 guys who are just off the edge, someone like a Ojolari kind of thing. But him in Pittsburgh with that standard, with that environment, that culture, um, with DeCastro and those guys mentoring and looking after him, I think he'll be a really elite guard. I mean, a really elite tackle in the league to come. 25 Jags. They could go in another of different directions here. Fairmouth would have been ideal, um, but he's already gone. So I'm taking Alex Leatherwood, the tackle for Bama. They do need to address tackle, pretty much tackle, tight end, get some corners, interior D line. Try and get Trayvon Moring, second round, definitely. Got to get him, a true center fielder. But taking Leatherwood here, good. You can plug him in at right tackle. Um, I don't know about if Cam Robinson's signed or not, how that situation's going to play out. You get Leatherwood helping protecting Trevor Lawrence. Maybe you see second round if you can get another playmaker, tight end Brevin Jordan kind of thing. Maybe get Brevin Jordan or another weapon, and then address Moring with that weapon and getting interior defensive line third round, something like that. Um, Maybe even go double safety, get Richie Grant and Moring, and get your interior defensive line later. Any of the Buckeye defensive lineman interior would work. But yeah, Urban Meyer got to address that offensive line tempo, how he likes it. So getting Leatherwood there would help improve the offensive line, solidify it, and make sure Trevor Lawrence is upright, especially in that division. Okay, 26. This is the Cleveland Browns. I can't even imagine the Cleveland Browns picking 26th with all what's been going on in their recent thing, which is amazing. But Joseph Ahai addressing edge, adding to that, outside linebacker, defensive line kind of thing, getting after the quarterback, especially in that division. I think it's vital. They need edge help. And I think if Osai falls to them, Texas, Joseph Osai, outside linebacker, defensive end, can play in and out of both. I think he's a really good hybrid. Can do a lot of things you need him to do. Can rush from left, right. Can do a lot of things. Who really improve the Cleveland Browns and helping them address their edge, kind of thing, especially in that division. 27, Baltimore. I haven't Ojolari seen as a second round kid. I think he's really, really underrated. I think he just really bends the edge very well. He would really help in terms of Baltimore's edge. I think if DaCosta's seeing Ojolari at this pick, he just takes him. Yes, they could use interior. They could use other positions, edge, more edge help and all that. But besides Ojolari, I see him taking Ojolari here. Carlos Basham would have been ideal, but I think he's just falling down boards as well. He's a second round guy, and so I see Ojolari. He had a really good tape against Cincinnati. Basically, won them the game. Helped win the game in terms of getting them their comeback. Clutch player, key third down run guy. Reminds me of DeMarcus Ware in that type of situation. Even though their body types are different, you can really count on him to come down with the key, crucial third leadership quality in his game, and he would really help benefit Baltimore Ravens defense and make it even more nastier than it is. Yeah, so Ojolari, outstanding for the Baltimore Ravens. I can really bend the edge very well. I think he would do wonders for the Baltimore Ravens. Very, very good clutch factor, like I mentioned. Cincinnati tape was brilliant. He would help Eric DaCosta and the Baltimore Ravens get after the quarterback even more. Saints, I don't have them taking a quarterback here. I have them trading their second round pick, getting Darnold, letting Sean Payton fix him for relatively cheap. I do have him taking Zaven Collins here, Mr. Interception himself, adding to that linebacker core, dressing corner, third round, and so after they're getting their quarterback, Sam Darnold. with the Drew Brees situation. So Zaven Collins would be an ideal fit to the New Orleans Saints. It's kind of surprising that he fell this far, but he would improve them outside. Sam will. Uh, I don't even know if they want to put him at Mike, but he's definitely good in pass coverage, and he can play run game as well. So it'd be wonderful for the New Orleans Saints if he fell their lap here. Um, and dressing corner much later on, making sure the defense is even stronger, and of course maybe adding to wide receiver, that kind of thing will help as well. But I love his tape this year. I love the fact that he's getting multiple interceptions. He does flow and move to the ball very well. And I love the kid's game, Sky's the limit. I think he has immense potential, Zaven Collins, New Orleans Saints. All right. Now, as a diehard Packer fan, I'm not the biggest fan of Gutekunst. I felt like the Jordan Love pick was unnecessary and it shouldn't have been made. A Jalen Johnson or another Chase Claypool kind of thing, that pick would have been far more useful. And we saw that in the NFC Championship game. Uh, but I guess when you have the stability and the structure of the Green Bay Packers with Rodgers and certain cats getting Bakhtiari, best tackle in the league, and not having drafted first round receiver, I changed that. I think Kadarius Toney is a late one, early two type of guy, slot guy, quick guy. Um, None of the guys who are on the Packers roster are really like super twitchy, really high end explosive. So I think Kadarius Toney would be a great asset to the Green Bay Packers, my squad, with Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. Um, Using from the slot, you can do special teams as well. I think he'd really do well and do wonders in that Green Bay Packer wide receiver group. Kadarius Toney. Uh, some people might say it's a little early. That's fine. I have him going around this range. Quick, explosive guy. Try again and maybe address more corner and offensive line, linebacker stuff later on. Definitely. 30th, I have the Bills taking Nick Bolton. I know Tremaine Edmonds there, but you can move him around. He's downhill guy, quick guy, smart. Missouri's leader on defense. Uh, Georgia tape, they kind of went off, so I really won't count the Georgia tape against him. It wasn't He didn't have the best Georgia tape on that game, but other than that, I mean, he didn't really have too many teammates who were really helping him as well. So, which is probably one of his best attributes, the ability to go downhill. Question marks in the pass game. There are question marks. Who knows how he does at his pro day and stuff, and probably watch more tape and see how he does in certain situations. But I think Nick Bolton to the Buffalo Bills would do tremendous. Even add more to Leslie Frazier's brilliant defense. Not so good with, again, Kansas City, but against the rest of the league generally. They're pretty good. And Arizona, of course. But other than that, they were pretty solid all year. 31, Bucks, Super Bowl losers. I see them losing the Super Bowl. I have them taking Tufele, interior defensive line. I don't know how the Ndamukong Suh thing is going to go. Vita Vea is pretty solid. But just addressing more defense, Shaquille Barrett is there, addressing more interior defensive line. They could use other pins as well, especially edge. I wouldn't draft Basham here this early, that kind of thing. So have them taking Jay Tufele. Jay Tufele is a 300-pound interior guy who's strong, can push the pocket. It's more can really get after the quarterback from the interior position. Stout, smart, uh, and have a fellow Trojan going here to the Bucks. 31, 32, Super Bowl champs. Sickening as it may be, I think we're in the Pat Mahomes dynasty era. Don't see it stopping. They're just too fast, too quick. But I just see have them taking a tackle. They could go interior as well. I don't know if they would probably go Josh Myers, Trey Smith, that kind of thing. But I have him taking Liam Eichenberg, who will be at the Senior Bowl, I believe. So we get to watch more of him and see if he can even climb even more. But Eichenberg is tall, long, has good hands. His kick slide, I would at a 10, I would probably rate it 6 to 7 ish. It's okay. He can really get out there and deal with ends. And putting him with Fisher and Schwartz and getting depth and improving that position would really make Pat Mahomes' life even easier than it already is, which is kind of hard to fathom. But this is my 2021 NFL strange but sensible mock draft. Please let me know your thoughts. Please let me know what you think. And peace.